The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, January 26th. Good morning. Whew.
Yeah.
Friday. January is divorce month. Attorneys nationwide see a giant uptick in new clients, divorce attorneys, that is, after the holidays. And so the 25% spike in the number of people looking for divorce advice happens this month. And they say, well, everybody's always just trying to get through the holidays, or they just endured their in-laws and they realized they made the wrong choice. No. That's not it. Let me tell you why January's divorce month, okay?
Yeah.
The reason is simple. Either you just endured another season of football-induced drunken buffoonery from your partner, or you've just enjoyed another season of football-induced drunken buffoonery. Either way, you realize you're with the wrong partner. So you're either the drunken buffoon or you're married to the drunken buffoon. It's football-induced, and that is what leads to the spike. And I mean, this is not just my theory, and I've got plenty of anecdotal evidence. Apparently, all is not well in the world of Jason Kelce, recently retired Eagles center, who we enjoyed his shirtless, drunken, football-induced buffoonery last Sunday. His wife is totally down on him. Kylie Kelce. Kylie Kelce, an Instagram star in her own right now, is like, she was in the box apparently like, no, don't do that. Keep that shirt on. Jason, do not take that shirt off. And his quote, of course, was fantastic. He said, look, all I know is 1 minute I'm taking my shirt off and I'm jumping out of the box. That's how my brain works on 40 Miller Lights.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a quote right there.
I read that. He said I drank 40 beers before ripping his shirt off, but he really thinks he just had too much dip.
Well, yeah, that could do it.
Might have overdone it with maybe not enough dip.
Hey, listen, I know when I overdo cheese dip, the first thing I want to do is show off my girth.
It's intoxicating, isn't it?
It is.
That was an entertaining game, no doubt. But I thought that was fantastic. I mean, we need to see more. That's what you ought to be showing pictures of in the box. I like he sort of upstaged his future, maybe perhaps sister-in-law. Tony Romo said. I think called her his sister-in-law. But yeah, I thought that was fantastic. Come on, Kylie. She's gonna come back to him because he's been doing this for years.
He already said. Zepp, he said he was talking on his podcast and he said, I told my wife Kylie, the first day I met you, I was blackout drunk and fell asleep at the bar. This is part of my charm.
Yeah.
There's an old word called, this is a true word from the Yorkshire dialect. It's crambazzled. If you look up crambazzled, it's to be prematurely aged from excess drinking.
Yeah.
We all know someone who's crambazzled, and I think Jason Kelce picking up the flag, the crambazzlers flag, and running it high and mighty that's just what we needed as a as a recovering football nation. Yeah. There's nothing better than playoff football to bring out the buffoonery in us all. And looking at these games this weekend, I think they're both going to be compelling and fascinating and great games. I also came across this. The Packers went out of the playoffs last week. They should have beaten the Niners. They had the game. They let it go. And so, they go back home. They empty out their lockers. They all fly home. It's sad. But, there's other people that are finishing their season too, and that's the Lambeau Field grounds crew and the general maintenance for the stadium. The lost and found at the end of every season at Lambeau Field, you can't imagine the stuff that they're digging through right now. They put it up every year and they say, hey, we're going to keep all this crap we found throughout the season for 60 days and then we're going to donate it. And I mean, people are losing everything. My favorite is one guy said in the same game he found both dentures and hearing aids.
Grandpa came back from Lambeau without the dentures or the hearing aids.
Well, I'm hoping it's two people, and because I'm just imagining the conversation, and it's like, I think I lost my teeth, and the guy's like, what? I mean, come on, it's just basic stuff. That's just right there waiting for you.
Yeah. What if there's a pacemaker in there?
There's canes, walkers, shoes, credit cards, jewelry. I mean, it's 800 items that if you passports. Who's bringing a passport to Lambeau Field? Maybe it's not an American passport. Maybe someone came down from Canada.
Yeah. I mean, the people. People come from all over the place. I mean, it is kind of an international. I don't know how many of you have tailgated at Lambeau Field, but it is quite an experience. Sometimes you don't even recall the game. I had one. I lost my dignity at Lambeau Field one time. Up there tailgating, just really getting whipped up and caught up in it. It was my first time up there, and I hadn't really experienced that level of, I had experienced probably that level of partying, but not on that sort of carnival scale, and really got into it. And some gal from California, probably had a passport on her, offered me some chocolate. Now, this was back when edibles were like, oh, somebody has edible. It was a myth,
Yeah, sure.
You didn't really know what they were, and they were concocted in someone's kitchen. It wasn't regulated like the stuff you buy in the gas stations in Minnesota now. That fine stuff. But so I just ate the whole thing. She gave it to me. She's like, here, just take a little bite now and a little bite then. I'm like, I'm not going to just micro dose here. I'm at Lambeau Field, baby. I got a belly full of schnapps and cheap beer. So I ate the whole thing. And I don't remember going into the game, but I do hate the person that made sure I got into my seat and then passed out and pissed myself.
Oh, you sat in a little pool of...
For an entire football game, apparently. Oh, yeah, just because, my bladder emptied. Oh, there it was. And here was the thing. No one was really shocked. I wasn't the only one that had done that. I had a zip-up sweatshirt on. I just tied that around my waist and sort of stumbled out. And, of course, started drinking again. But
there's a lot of post-game conversations that someone says, yeah, the guy sitting in our section pissed himself. And there's dead silence because everyone's like, yeah.
And then what?
So I'm loving the gathering of people. Okay, lost and found. Anybody listen? Some dentures? And a few hands go up. Anybody looking for a hearing aid? A few hands. Anybody lose their dignity? Every hand up. We got some dignity up here. Anybody looking for some? Oh, that's great.
I didn't make it look as good as Jason Kelce did, though. So, I think they'll be okay. Although,
I'm saying but surely, whether it's football induced or not, we've all apologized either for our partner, spouse, or they've apologized for us. I don't think I've ever had to apologize for Rosemary. I don't think there was ever a time in her short list of drunken buffoonery where I was actually compelled to apologize for her behavior. The other side of that, well, that's not the case at all. She has had to apologize for me on several occasions, both to friends and strangers. Because, hey, like Jason Kelce, like America's favorite newly retired football drunken guy who's getting crambazzled as we speak, I occasionally had too much fun. By God, too much fun. Apologies were made. We've all been there, surely. Yes?
This is KQ Nation listening, I'm sure. In fact, I don't want to get cocky, boys and girls, but I think we may have a topic this morning. Let's run with this. We got to get along. It's Movie Review Friday, but let's get something up on the KQ Facebook page. Let's start. It's Friday. This is perfect. Times you had to apologize for your drunken spouse. What happened? Times that they had to apologize for you. Oof. Our talk and text line, I know, 651-989-ROCK. Reviewing some movies. Our man out on the West Coast, Mike Evans, at 6:30. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Friday, January 26th at 8 o'clock this morning. We're going to give away some sweet, as in SUITE, tickets to the Minnesota Wild versus the Canucks. We're going to make you play a game in order to do that. That is at 8 a.m. At 9 a.m., Eddie Gosling, a very funny comic, will join us in studio. That's all happening today. That's all very exciting. I'm having a good time already because I'm not hammered and being apologized for as we speak. But that hasn't always been the case. We started the show talking about times that we made a mess of ourselves and had to be apologized for, or the rare occasion maybe one of us had to apologize for somebody else's behavior, our partner, our wife, our girlfriend, our boyfriend, that sort of thing. We're not gonna open this up to people you work with, because my God, we've all had to apologize for our coworkers more times than we probably ever could add up. That's just one of those things. But you can hit the KQ Facebook page and let us know if you've ever experienced such a situation in your life. But before we dive back into that and other topics, let's go west. It is time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Candace and Steve and Zep and Tony. Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I'm feeling much better today on this Friday.
Nice.
And thanks for the emails that I got from some of our listeners. Before I get into my final prediction of the 2 NFL championship games that are coming up on Sunday, it's Movie Review Friday. And a reminder, anytime you go to any movie, you got to go to Marcus Theaters. They're the best theaters in all of Minnesota. Check out Marcus Theaters, and they will be showing throughout the weekend one of my favorite movies of the year, Poor Things. Poor Things is the number one movie I recommend for this weekend if you're going to a theater. Poor Things starring Emma Stone. This movie almost didn't get made, almost didn't get released, and now it is number 2 in most nominated movies for Oscars. Check it out. Poor Things, 4 stars. Another movie opening up everywhere this weekend is sort of a Middle East war movie called Fighter. It's sort of non-English, some subtitles. I didn't care for it that much. Rated R. If you like war movies and great cinematography of air battles and jet planes, you might like it. 130 minutes long, 1.5 stars for Fighter. But again, you got to go see Poor Things. Oh, speaking of Fighter, you know, there's another movie called Fighter that was released 24 years ago. The true story of boxer Mickey Ward, starring Mark Wahlberg. Now, that movie, Fighter, is streaming everywhere, and I cannot recommend it enough. I mean, it's old, 24 years old, but is streaming. It's free, rated R, 2 hours long. The other movie called Fighter that is streaming, 4 stars. But if you're going to spend some time at home, must-see TV, and I mean for everybody, is Sofia Vergara, starring in the true-life Colombia cocaine godmother Griselda. It's the story of the real-life Griselda Blanco. 6-part Netflix docudrama starring Sofia Vergara as Griselda. Who knew that Sofia Vergara could act? But, man, she is fabulous in this movie. The series dropped at midnight last night. Again, 4 stars. Oh, and speaking of Netflix, I promised the last time I'll bring it up, but I've been telling you all week about American Nightmare on Netflix. Check that out, 4 stars. Okay, to Sunday's games. There's no change in the odds. San Francisco 7 points over Detroit. Baltimore 3.5 points over Kansas City. I'm sticking with my predictions earlier in the week. I have the points and taking both underdogs. Maybe Steve and Candy and Zap and Tony will share with us their predictions for the games. Hey, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Mike Evans, see ya.
Aloha.
The Mike Evans Hollywood Report right there. Let's go back to the movie reviews quickly. Poor Things. Have you heard about this? The Emma Stone movie?
No.
Here's the film synopsis. Brought back to life by an unorthodox scientist, a young woman runs off with a lawyer on a whirlwind adventure across the continents. Free from the prejudices of her time, she grows steadfast in her purpose to stand for equality and liberation. Okay,
That old story.
that doesn't sound like a laugh riot. I spoke to my son last night he's 23 years old. He went to see the film yesterday, and he absolutely couldn't say enough about it. He was like, I've never seen anything like it. Mind-blowing. Great. Loved it. I mean, just couldn't stop thinking about it. He said,
23, you'll love it.
yeah, exactly. Take that with a grain of salt. The other movie he mentioned, Fighter with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale, that is a great movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whoa. Man, that's something. And what's her name? That red Amy Adams. Yeah, there you go. Boy, that movie Fighter's fantastic. For the football games this weekend, Mike Evans asked if we'd share our predictions. Candace, what do you think?
I'm going to go with whatever you go with, Steve.
Okay, awesome.
Name a team that's playing. No, I'm right there with you. I'm not going to even see the game Sunday.
I think that
Well, I'm going
think
to come back in and I'm going to just watch the highlights Sunday night. I got things to do, man.
I'll be staring at the TV all day Sunday. I think the Chiefs are going to go into Baltimore and get absolutely obliterated.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I love the Chiefs. I can't believe I'm betting against them. But this has been such a smoke and mirror season for them, and Baltimore's just dominant. And we'll put it this way: it's either going to be a Baltimore blowout, or if it's close in the fourth quarter, then I'm not betting against Mahomes. I think Baltimore wins handily, and then I think I'm calling a Detroit win over the Niners.
Yeah, me too.
Steve,
I know.
I know. I'm going to stick with the Packers. I'm sticking with my Packers pick. It's worked for me in the past.
Heck yeah.
All reliable.
Ride it out, man.
Now, I remember when we started this week, right about this time, you said, 49ers are going to destroy them. But by the end of the show, you were already starting to, hedge a little bit and started thinking about the game a little bit more. And now here at the end of the week, you're with some hesitation, you're going to pick the Lions in San Francisco. It's going to be a nice sunny day. They're not going to have a sloppy day. Going to be good and sloppy out on the East Coast. But I like it. It's a bold pick, and I hope it happens.
Wait, so this is the last game, right? Before the Super Bowl? Okay.
Before the big one.
Super Bowl has been canceled.
The winner?
So I have a really strong opinion now.
Okay.
I'm going to say that at the Super Bowl, it's going to be the Chiefs and the Lions because I'm trying to manifest Eminem and Taylor Swift having guest appearances at halftime.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Yep.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you're trying to manifest an actual, a lion appearing in the middle of the Super Bowl.
Whoa, that'd be tight.
That would be kind of tight. Speaking of a lion appearing somewhere you don't expect, how about this? How about Timothée Chalamet? You know who that is? Young actor. Just made the Wonka remake for reasons that will never make sense to me.
Not very good looking. Kind of an average looking fella.
Good hair.
He is set to portray Bob Dylan in an upcoming film. And so I guess as part of his prep, he just swung by Hibbing High School yesterday and stopped by the drama department. They were in a rehearsal for a play they're putting on, and he hung out with the drama department at Hibbing High. Isn't that nice? A ginormous movie star that every woman in America under the age of 40 is absolutely in love with, and he just walks into a high school auditorium.
Yeah. He's got the hair for it. I think he's a fantastic actor. I've seen a few of his movies, but my daughter Sydney, who has the biggest crush on the 1960s Bob Dylan and Timothée Chalamet. Yeah, I think this was announced maybe a couple of months ago, but sent me an O and then 45 M's and a G and an exclamation mark. She's very excited about Timothée Chalamet. I think it should do it justice. I hope it's a good movie. Do we know much about who's making it?
I don't know much about it, although I do think this. Is it possible that going to Hibbing High 60 some odd years after Bob Dylan left Hibbing High actually helps on any level in preparing for that part?
He's a method guy. I don't know how their heads work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Makes for a nice moment, though, for the Hibbing kids.
Oh, sure it does. Yeah, no question about it. I think he's probably more excited about just blowing their minds at a theater group get-together than actually trying to get some insight into what made Zimmerman tick back in the day. Yeah. On the 92 KQRS Facebook page, name a time when you had to apologize for your spouse or they had to apologize for you. The top comment already from Granny Annie she wrote simply, "I regret nothing."
Way to go, Granny.
Yes.
I like Scott's 1996 through 2006. That would be my 30s. Just one big, long apology from the spouse. I'm really trying super hard to think about a time I might have apologized for my ex, Stacy. If you're listening, good morning. But I'm not coming up with anything. But, I mean, my God, we met. How we met, Stacy and I was puking in the girls' bathroom because I couldn't get in the boys' bathroom, at a girls' bathroom at a bar off campus, this college I got kicked out of. And she was trying to get in. It was one of these one-seaters. And she opens the door, and I had made a terrible mess in there, and I proposed to her. And then 2 weeks later, she's at the bar again and accepts my proposal. I don't know what she's talking about. She lays down the story for me. We have a chuckle and then would go on to get married. So she knew what she was getting into.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
she looked at you and just saw a pair of comfy slippers.
Covered in vomit.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's but the stewing process with those slippers. Once they're fully immersed, that's when they get as comfy as possible. All right, right now, how about this? How about we take a quick look back?
Today, on this day,
Nothing happened. Yes, it did.
yes, it did. So what happened?
What is it, Steve?
Oh, I'll tell you what happened today. January 26th, 1986. Super Bowl 20. The Chicago Bears defeated the Patriots 46-10, and the game did not feel that close. New England produced positive yardage on just one of their first 16 plays. They didn't get a first down until deep into the second quarter. Tony Eason, their starter, was 0 for 6 before they benched him in a Super Bowl. The Patriots just got unraveled. The Bears that year had one loss on the season. Their playoff combined score, they beat their opponents in the playoffs 91-10. And if you just heard, the final score of the Super Bowl was 46-10. So they shut out their first two opponents on the way to the Super Bowl. Pretty incredible. The big lowlight of the game, though, was when William Refrigerator Perry scored a touchdown. The 300-pound defensive lineman was called in, and he ran the ball in for a touchdown. And what that meant was Walter Payton was not called to score from close yardage. The Bears finally got over, and Sweetness did not score a touchdown in his only Super Bowl appearance. That was a real drag.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Good morning. 1 hour from right now, we are going to give away wild tickets, and we're going to ask two listeners to beat the toaster in order to win those tickets. Oh, that's a highlight any and every time we get to play. So you're going to want to be trying to get on that bad boy. That's happening 1 hour from right now. This is January. It's the final Friday of the month. January is known as Divorce Month in legal circles. A real uptick in new clients for divorce attorneys. In fact, 25% spike in the number of people looking for divorce advice this month. And, attorneys say, oh, it's because people just wait to get through the holidays. And my theory is entirely different. No, people wait to get through football season. You either endure or enjoy a season of football-induced drunken buffoonery. That's how it goes. You're either the person who's having the best time of their life while your partner is going, hey, sorry about him. He's just excited. Or you're the person saying, sorry about him. He's just excited. Either way, come January, you're like, okay, I got it. I can't go through this again. So that's the situation we're looking at right here. Jason Kelce, famously in Buffalo last Sunday. This is a guy who just retired, a Hall of Fame, a surefire Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame member in a few years. 5 years from now, he'll have the gold jacket. Retires and then goes to cheer on his little brother, Jason Kelce, for the Chiefs-Bills game. I'm sorry, his brother, Travis Kelce. I'm talking about Jason Kelce.
It's confusing.
And Jason Kelce was in the parking lot with the Bills Mafia before kickoff, pounding beers. Then he's up in the big skybox with Bills' wives, Bills' ownership, Taylor Swift, all those people. And he's the guy who was shirtless, pounding beers like there was no tomorrow. and Zep, to your point, he also jumped out of the box down into the stands to hang with some actual fans. Yeah. And an 8-year-old girl approached him, and she is a Taylor Swift fan. So Kelce picks the girl up to, hold her up over his head so she can get a close, wave to Taylor and see her. And a lot of people were saying, that's kind of crazy. He's just wildly drunk and he, just picks up someone's kid. And I'm like, the little girl's at a Bills game. Her dad and her uncles and everybody she knows are all that drunk and they're throwing her around. It's fine.
I've been through it. Although did it kind of have that Michael Jackson over the railing vibe for a second?
Yeah, for a quick second there.
He wasn't. The grip on that man's hands, he wasn't dropping anyone.
Yeah, right.
The mother actually was interviewed, and the story gets even a little better. Mom is not a big Buffalo Bills fan. Had never been to a game before in her life. She forked down a ton of dough to get seats in front of what they thought would be Taylor Swift's box there. It had been someone leaked it on social media where it would be. So she dropped the big dough, but she made a critical error. Not having been to many football games, she was seated too close. The box is way up there. Her little girl can't see Taylor Swift up in the box just above their head. Well, Jason did something about that, didn't he? So, I mean, that's like a Make-A-Wish stuff right there. Although the little girl didn't need to make a wish.
I missed that angle. I missed that angle of the thing. So that's pretty crazy.
Great. Yeah. He did it drunk, and his wife's pissed off. But what I find funny about that is, I mean, he's pulled these antics at Super Bowl celebrations for the Eagles. Not the one they won. I was going to say not the last one they were in. They didn't have a Super Bowl celebration. But the one that they won, he dressed up as a genie, got pretty drunk, a little sloppy there at the podium, but as you might expect. But his wife she's wanted him to retire. She said, I really want him to retire. It's time to be home with the kids and the family. And we're gonna be a great Kelce family. Well, welcome to retirement for Jason Kelce.
Man, no kidding. I mean, that's getting. I mean, that he's earned every bit of this type of retirement too. You spend that long in the trenches in the NFL, and you can still stand up straight. 40 beers is just getting started. Best of luck to you, brother. I've been. I rolled out of a Minnesota Twins game once, so drunk I don't remember leaving the event. Back in the old Metrodome days, 1997. At a game and just enjoying the afternoon swill, just going hard. And in fact, really caused a furor, if you will. We were on tour. Guy was a fan of the band, worked with the club, and he gave us great seats. And then they asked us if we wanted to come up to one of the sky boxes where the play-by-play guys were and the announcer. Do you want to come up and check the place out, like late innings? And we were like, sure. And I mentioned to the guy at the Metrodome, I said, I used to announce soccer games in college at a football stadium on the big microphone. And this guy literally said, do you want to announce a batter? I was beyond stewed.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, I would love that. And he goes, all you got to say is the next batter is number whoever it was. And I turned the mic on. And if you've ever done a microphone at a stadium, there's a delay, because you speak into the mic and there's a full beat or two before you hear it come back to you. So this is what it sounds like. The next batter, and you have to talk through that. You have to get over that delay, that clapback, which I was used to doing because in college I did that. I did announce things at the football stadium on my campus. Soccer games, nobody was there. Nothing I could do about it, and I couldn't get in trouble except for I got thrown out of the press box once for making fun of an opposing player. That's a whole nother story. I'm at the Metrodome. And I literally said the next batter and whatever the number was. And then I literally said on the mic, Harmon Killebrew in 1997.
Well, that's a fun name to say.
And I mean, you would have thought I had said Sig Heil the way everybody was so angry. It's a major league game. Someone let a drunk buffoon dude in a band on the microphone. What do you expect me to do? You would have thought I'd burned a flag, which I fully get. I totally understand. But nobody thought it was funny. Nobody thought it was funny. No, they were like, "What the?" And I mean, I probably got someone fired for doing that because it was really. But here's the best part: I have to I'm recreating this from what I was told.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the state of mind I was in.
Yeah.
So we've all been there. But I was apologized for repeatedly on our way out of the stadium.
Maybe it wasn't the fact that you just tried to slip in the killer's name, but the way you said it. Maybe it kind of came off a little too sloppy for the Twins fans. They can be a little reverent, especially
That's probably
those that hang around the boxes. I just received a text from Amy who said it's okay. You can tell the Mark story. Amy, I'd forgotten all about it. And Mark did get into a lot of trouble. We were at a Super Bowl party many years ago, maybe like 20 years ago there in South Minneapolis. And Mark gets all whipped up. And, of course, we've taken all of us, the keys. That's back when it was, all right, everybody's keys go in the bowl. But you know whose keys didn't go in the bowl? The host of the party. Their keys were just hanging right by the door, and at some point we're like, where the hell's Mark at? All of a sudden he comes stumbling in. We're like, dude, what are you doing? It was like 5 below zero. We're like, what are you doing out there? He goes, oh, just getting a little fresh air. We've come to find that he took off in the host car, crashed it into a tree down the road, and walked back to the party, and had no recollection of it. That was That was weird. And we're trying to watch the game, and cops are showing up, and I'm like, come on, man, really? You couldn't have waited till after the game or done it on Championship Sunday. But I also know a dude that proposed at a Super Bowl party pretty drunk, and the entire party was drunk, and we went nuts. And that was the last time they saw each other. Because the next morning he woke up and said, no, I don't want to marry you. And apparently that was the end of that relationship.
For some people, the thought of, I need you to hold my hair while I throw up is just a quick step to, will you marry me, apparently. And as someone who's had much longer hair than I have now, I have looked at someone and was like, I need some help. And, thankfully I was already married to her. So, I didn't get those lines crossed.
Yeah.
Jeez. These things happen.
You know what we're getting a lot of on the KQ Facebook post? Cowards. Early morning cowards. No, I have to sleep next to her. Not a chance. No way.
Oh, come on.
Got nothing. Yeah, no, they're just jumping on to say, no, you're not getting that out of me. I bet right about the middle of happy hour this evening, they'd be spilling their guts on their drunken stories. Let's not forget, we get drunk during the Super Bowl and do stupid things. I didn't watch a Super Bowl at home for a very long time because it was like, no, why don't you guys just go be stupid and then show up, if you can on Monday. But how about the quarterback? How about the NFL players that they go Super Bowl Sunday during the Tom Brady throwing the Super Bowl trophy from one boat to another.
Sure.
Was it Mahomes? Remember when he just gave it to a random fan and the fan just ran off with the Super Bowl trophy? He was pretty blotto.
Yeah, you get into these. See, this is problematic because quarterbacks, they're not drinking for months at a time, and then they have 3 Miller Lights, and they're suddenly like Bluto in Animal House. They're like dumping mustard on their chest and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just how that goes. It's so funny. I have these fleeting memories of Super Bowl parties past. During the Super Bowl 93, it was Cowboys Bills Volume 2, I think. Or no, it was the third one. The third one in a row. I think I told this story, but I had I got myself into a dare where I said I can easily drink 24 Coors Lights, but during the game. Like, no problem. It's like water. From kickoff to the final whistle, I can drink 24 silver bullets easily. And not only that, I got up and played 18 holes of golf that morning and was drinking during the round.
Attaboy.
So, yeah, and by the way, and would have completed the task, except one of our bus drivers came in and didn't read the sign that said "This cooler just for Steve," and he drank a few of my silver bullets, and so I didn't get everybody's like, "You didn't get it." I'm like, "I would have. I already had a few before the game started. Here, give me some of those Heinekens. I'll finish those." And they're like, "No, you failed your task." And so there I am. And then from there I rolled right into a bar in Savannah, Georgia, and had a jam with Gary from the Jayhawks and drank there too. So just to prove the point, you can't keep me down with 20 silver bullets. Don't kid yourself. Candace, do we have a caller?
Yeah, John from St. Paul.
John, good morning, brother. What do you got for us?
I've got an apology story.
Let's have it.
My 21st birthday, my wife, my identical twin brother, my family had planned a big, huge party for us. Actually, it wasn't 21st. I think it was like 23rd or whatever.
40th.
Right? But I was working that day. I had to work that day. And at the end of the day, a couple of the guys said, well, hey, let's stop off at the bar and have a couple drinks. And I was like, oh, God, that's not a good idea. I've got to be somewhere after work. But, of course, you can't turn down free drinks. So I said, sure, I'll have a couple, I guess. Only a couple.
Yeah.
Well, 6 hours later, I was calling for a ride home from my now ex-wife because I couldn't even make it out to the bar, or out of the bar to my vehicle.
God.
She won't come get me, so I had to call my brother. He came and got me, picked me up, dragged me over there, scolded me a little bit. I got home. He got me in the front door. He said, good luck. And I fell over, passed out right there in the front. And she never talked to me, never touched me. I woke up there the next morning, completely hungover, had no idea what had just happened. And, yeah, she was, I missed the whole birthday party. The whole birthday party got canceled because of me. Well, Every time I turn around, my buddies were like, here's a shot. Take this shot. Take this drink. Here.
Yeah.
You can't turn down drinks. I'm not that kind of guy.
You're not rude.
No, it's rude.
No.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
listen,
so for about 4 days, she didn't talk to me. And
Doghouse.
finally, I mustered up enough to say, I'm sorry. But if I'd have known we were going to be divorced, I don't know if I'd have thrown that apology out there anyway.
yeah, oh boy. The lessons keep on coming in. John, thanks for the call, brother. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
That all whipped up again. All right, we got to keep on trucking here. We've got something up on the KQ Facebook post. Hey, if you've got a drunk and I have to apologize story, if it's someone else's story and they had to apologize to you, the talk and text line 651-989-ROCK. I do have a little travel tip for everyone. If you're flying, maybe look and see if there's an Airbus you can take, one of those fun Airbus planes, because the Boeings, what the is going on with them? Wheels falling off now, bolts, and there's more Boeing stuff. What do you hear this audio? We'll get around to that. Game show at 8 o'clock for Wild tickets. Beat the Toaster. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. 30 minutes from now, we're giving away hockey tickets, playing a little game called Beat the Toaster. Meet the parents and beat the toaster. That is my kind of morning right there. In the meantime, we've been discussing all sorts of, personal malfeasance throughout the day. Candace, I think we have someone who's been waiting a while for a chat. Do we have a caller?
We have good old Dan from Kimball.
Good old Dan. Good morning, brother.
Morning.
What do you got for us, Dan?
Okay?
Yeah, we hear you great. Thanks.
Well, about back in 02, 03, I was doing concrete work up north Minnesota. And we were me, my cousin, and a buddy of ours were way back in the woods up by Swan River doing putting in a concrete slab. Friday, of course, so we had a cooler full of beer, and we got to drinking, and we were getting pretty lit.
Yeah.
Decided, after work we're going to head back. Well, it's dark. It's a narrow road. All of a sudden, this nice buck comes running out in front of us, stops in the middle of the road, and I just jokingly said to my buddy Doug, I said, "Gun it!" And he did. Hit the deer.
Oh, no.
And so we get out, check on the deer. Of course, deer's not dead. It's laying there kind of quivering. And my cousin, Travis, soldier he is, jumps out of the truck and decides he's going to put this deer out of its misery. So he opens up this dull knife and tries to cut its throat.
Oh, my gosh.
And blood everywhere, right? All over him, everything. So anyway, we finally get that deed taken care of. We bring him home. It's 3 in the morning. He's a newlywed. 3 in the morning, drunkard and snot and covered in beer. Or blood.
In blood.
Beer, too. But covered in blood. Looks like he just slaughtered a small family. So we pull up to his house, knowing his wife is going to be mad. Ain't none of us going in.
Nope.
We pull up to his house to throw him out, and we take off.
Cowards.
Well, later on that morning, I get a phone call from a very angry young woman wanting to know what the hell happened. And I said, well, why? She's like, well, Travis stumbled into the house at 3 in the morning, went straight to bed, covered in blood, all over our sheets and everything. Like, oh, dear God. So then I had to tell her exactly what happened and apologize profusely for not helping get him cleaned up and coming in and explaining things. Yeah, it was quite a catastrophe. That is now his ex-wife, and never really talked to me after that.
Oh, well.
That's you can't take the fall for not getting the man. I mean, it's a group effort. I get it, but you got him home. That should count for something.
Hell yeah!
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, he was still alive.
Yeah.
We didn't tell him to jump out and kill the deer with a dull knife. He just took it upon himself.
You'd think that a gal, the guy's gal, would be appreciative that he's got the kind of friends that are going to, get him all the way to home base. Now, and come hell or high water, bloody mess, beer, drinking, the whole thing, you guys, finish the job. But, it's, maybe it was an eye-opening experience for both of them.
See, that's
I learned not to tell my buddy that was driving to gun it anymore.
No.
Yeah, well, okay. If you're not learning, you're not living. Everybody found out a lot about themselves that day. For some people, their newlywed spouse covered in deer blood, drunk as a skunk. That's a line that you cross it, you can't go back. And better to learn it early in the marriage than later. Thank you for the call. That is a very unique and an unexpected story. Thank you, brother.
Bye.
So it was a learning experience.
That's exactly what it is. Minnesota to me. That sounds like just another day in the life of a Iron Ranger to me, to be honest with you. And then the Vegas trips. People are chiming in. Mosquito Bites this morning, who I believe received that nickname at a Vegas trip from Flash in the Crowd. But she dressed up as Oglethorpe. We know, right? From Slapshot Oglethorpe. For one of the broadcasts out there, and then just went around kicking everyone's ass. Not everyone, but a lot of people. She would just, pull the shirt over their head and give them a hockey beat down at one of the Vegas trips. It was glorious to watch. Good to hear from you this morning. Mosquito Bites, first family of Zimmerman, Minnesota.
Man,
more sets.
The hockey fight, the hockey sweater over the head thing, that my brother Dave, I saw him do that several times, like in college. There'd be just drunken and, you could shove in and, oh, yeah. And he's 6'6", he's huge. And he could always get those giant, long, Fantastic Four dude arms around somebody. And he would immediately, if they were wearing a sweatshirt or a sweater, he'd right over their head. And down south, man, people aren't used to that. They don't know how to fight through it. You won the fight because they just they're so in shock. What did this guy just do to me? And then he would just wail on a couple body shots and it was over. It's fantastic. It's fantastic strategy.
Yeah, it is. It works.
It's really, really good one. But I did not expect to hear any part of that last story, by the way. I got nothing that could ever compare to that. I mean, I remember, we used to have a cat who was a very effective killer of vermin, if you will. But every now and again, he'd bring a chipmunk up to the house, and it wouldn't be dead, but it would be maimed. And I'd be like, oh, I got to put that thing out of its misery. And it's a chipmunk, and it would oh, no, I hate having to do this. And a deer, I can't even imagine. That's a whole nother level, man.
I like just the fact, you return the man, just like he said. It looked like it'd come from a crime scene. Just a bloody mess. David on the KQ Facebook post, he starts with, here's a good one. Circa 1989. I was visiting home here from Florida. I got to sit in with my old band at a bar in the North Burbs. We were so full of excitement and mass quantities of suds, and to see my old crew, we played a couple of songs. Then we're supposed to let the headlining band resume playing, except I refused to leave the drum kit. My brother, who's 65 today, by the way, happy birthday to your brother, and best friend finally had to goose step me away. Tubby from Northeast. Good to hear.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Just refused to leave.
That kind of reminds me. I was asked to leave a drum kit. I was forced off a drum kit once, sitting there way too drunk to be involved in this situation. And I'll just go ahead and drop it. It was a crazy story. We were on tour with Robert Plant, and we went out to a bar, south side of Chicago, the Checkerboard Lounge, famous blues club, and we're in there. It's my band and Robert Plant in 1990, and we're hanging again with Robert Plant at a blues bar in Chicago, and we're having the best night of our lives. The house band is cooking, and at some point, someone said, "Do you want to get up and play one?" And I said, well, sure, and walked onto the stage and sat down. And the first song was some real straight, just as easy as it gets. And I muddled through that. And I was just going to play one, but then the band immediately kicked into a second one. And I could not hear what they were doing. I started to, the room was literally starting to spin, and I couldn't figure out what the beat was supposed to be and where it was supposed to go. And I'm just still trying to play. And one of the guys in the band is looking at me, and he's clapping in some time that to my drunken brain.
Here's how it goes.
He was like, here, right here. He's doing this. Yeah. He's clapping. And in my head, it sounded like this. I was out of my mind. And the whole time I'm thinking, Robert Plant's watching this. This is terrible. I didn't care that the rest of the guys in my band were embarrassed for me. I was like, oh, and Robert's here. And we stood up to leave. And, oh, by the way, the house drummer came up. and he just stood next to me, and I looked up at him, and he just put his hand out like, hand me the sticks. And I just handed him the sticks and stood up and slumped away from the kit. It was beyond humiliating. And also hilarious. Everybody else thought it was hilarious. I was humiliated. And we walked out onto the sidewalk to jump into our van, and Plant goes, you'll get him next time. And he thinks it's hilarious. He's making fun of me. And in my mind, I'm like, I've got to come up with the perfect thing to say. There's got to be something I can say. And I don't remember what it was, but it occurred to me. And I turned to him to say it, and all that came out was copious amounts of vomit.
Oh my God.
Didn't hit him, but all over the sidewalk. And I stood up and I looked at him, and he goes, let's get you to bed. I was like, yeah, it's probably a good idea, Robert Plant.
That's a great story. I love Robert Plant saying, you'll get him next time.
The best part of that, of course, later I was like, that's not the first time he's seen a drummer throw up.
Yeah, right.
The funniest part of the night happened right when we first got there. We walk in, we sit down, and after we'd been there for a few songs, the band leader, it's like a house band, they're cooking, and then there's like an MC, and he gets up and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very special guest. Now, we're the youngest people in this bar by a long shot. Robert at the time is in his 40s, and he's younger than everyone else by 20 years. I mean, this is an old original Chicago. Checkerboard's a pretty legendary place. Old beat-up blues bar. And the guy on the stage goes, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special guest in the house tonight. A man who came from England, and he brought the blues back to America. Give it up. Mr. Led Zeppelin. Led, stand up.
Oh, my God.
And, I mean, we fell. Well, there was that immediate pause where we looked to see what he was going to say.
Yeah.
And he burst out laughing. And so we're all, we're laughing. And he stands up and waves. Everyone's applauding. And he goes, Mr. Led Zeppelin. That's a legend right there, ladies and gentlemen. And he thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Absolutely.
And so, of course, for the next 5 days, he was Led. Hey, what's up, Led?
Hey, Led.
That was great. Hey, you can catch up. You can catch up with Steve Gorman and the KQ Morning Show podcast anywhere you get podcasts, anytime you want. This podcast is available to you, and it's sponsored by our dear friends, Candace Wheeler.
At Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies.
Oh, Devani's bringing you the KQ Morning Show podcast every day. Thank you, Devani's.
They've gotten me through a hangover or 8. I'll tell you that. One of those hot hoagies on a hangover morning. Cured. Right now, the KQ92 talk and text line, a couple of bold callers, 9 and 2, 651-989-ROCK. This morning, we're playing Beat the Toaster. Sweet tickets up for grabs. Minnesota Wild, the Canucks coming to town Monday, February 19th at the Xcel Energy Center. Prize provided by the Minnesota Wild. And our runner-up today gets Brothers Almanac with Steely Dan tickets Saturday, February 3rd at First Avenue. Thank you to First Avenue for those tickets. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
An hour from now, we're going to be joined in studio by Eddie Gosling, a very funny gentleman who's at the Acme Comedy Club. 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow night. It's always nice to bring in the funny guys. Always a pleasure to have comedians in the studio with us. And in just a moment or two, we're going to play a little game called Beat the Toaster to give away some hockey tickets. That's always a highlight around here. And Tony, I love all the games.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to say, there's Beat the Toaster, and then there's everything else.
There's a special place in my heart for it as well.
I think we're all on the same page as far as that one goes. You can go to the KQRS Facebook page if you'd like and share. If you've ever had to apologize for your significant other, or if they've ever had to apologize for you, feel free to let us know. Tommy wrote, it's an everyday occurrence. Every time I open my mouth, I have a hard time bridling my tongue, and I have no problem apologizing. It's like sin, and I no problem confessing my sins. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, you know who you are. Self-awareness is a big part of the equation around here.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've made a career out of it. There are some vocations where you can get on and make a jackass out of yourself, and they give you a check every couple of weeks.
It's kind of fun, isn't it?
It kind of
is. Yeah. I had my wife apologized for me on more than a few occasions when we were. There's one thing when you go to someone else's house and you're at their party or at their Super Bowl party or at their get together for whatever reason, and you have a few too many, and on the way out you drop a glass or you knock into a coat hook or a rack or something, or you bump into the table. I've had problems when we're hosting. And the problem has been the same thing. And this is not 1 or 2 or 3. This is like a 4 or 5 time thing where in the middle of an event, not the middle, but towards the later hours of a night at our place with our friends, I just go to bed. Something will bring me into my own bedroom. Like I got to go to the bathroom. I'll use my own bathroom. And then, or I just think I just got to lay down for a second. And that's it. And Rosemary will walk in, and people are like, well, what's Steve? Where'd Steve go? And I'm just out cold on my bed, fully clothed. Maybe the shoes are off, just gone. And man, and of course I don't know what happens. I have to be told what happens. But she's had to let everyone go. Like, you guys don't have to leave. But by the way, he's done. He's passed out on the couch. Now it's been a long time, but the '90s, those were heady times. What can I say?
See, if you came out in your jammies and gave everybody a goodnight kiss, it would be much more well received.
That would have been awesome.
Nobody drew a penis on your forehead?
Not in my own house.
Yeah, I suppose that's a line you don't cross.
I did have a night in 1990.
Maybe Rosemary might.
First ever trip to L.A. driving the band van from Atlanta to Los Angeles. We stopped at a buddy's house in Tucson. Ended up having a bit of a house party. A bunch of Arizona State kids over at the house. And when I've in a comfy chair near the keg had enough. I was out for about 40 minutes, and then I woke up and like, hey, here's my second wind. And suddenly I was the funniest guy in the party. And then I finally went into the bathroom and saw the swastika on my forehead.
That's always nice.
In Sharpie.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. Pretty hardcore. I was like, I would have rather had the dick and balls. You know what I mean? Like, oh, come on.
Hello, Mr. Manson.
I just couldn't get over. I was like, man, everyone's they're so happy I'm awake again. This is great.
Oh, yeah, and that just doesn't. When you go with the Sharpie, we found many years ago with Boo Boo, my buddy Chad Baraboo got married, called him Boo Boo. He got married with glasses on and a big goofy mustache, and he did have a wiener on his forehead and everything else, and that's how he got married. And she went through with it, but they did not get the photos taken, so everyone had to reconvene in the wedding party a week later when he finally gotten his face completely scrubbed and get the wedding pictures taken.
Gotta take one.
She went through with it. She did. She actually blamed us, if you can believe that.
Well, it's not like you can actually say, no, I'm pretty sure he did that to himself, hon. We can't take the fall for this one.
Yeah, do not have the bachelor party the night before the wedding. Everyone knows this now, right?
Oh, wow, yeah, no kidding. That's always a bad idea. Hey, you know what? We got a couple of callers who are dying to go see some hockey. We've got tickets. Minnesota Wild versus the Vancouver Canucks. That is Monday, February the 19th at the XL Energy Center. And we at KQRS, we got a nothing but nice, as we used to say. Nothing but nice. We have a suite, and we would love to have you with us for the game Monday, February the 19th. And we're going to give away some tickets to that game. By the way, also a runner-up prize today, Brother Almanac with Stealing Dan, February the 3rd at First Avenue. That's a couple of badass tribute acts. So why don't we just get to it, shall we? How about a little game for your listening pleasure? Tony, take it away.
Let's do it. It's that time again.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Toast. Toast. Toast.
I would like toast.
Toast.
Who wants toast? I love toast.
When this guy put some bread in a toaster, you won't believe what happened next.
You've got bread and a toaster of some kind.
Can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
Your breakfast is ready.
I didn't hear a ding.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
All we need to do is beat the toaster.
Beat the toaster.
It's a game show. Beat the toaster.
Breakfast is ready.
Yep, let's play Beat the Toaster. You know it. The Northland's most beloved anxiety-inducing game sensation. Here's what we do. We're going to pop in a hypothetical slice of bread into the toaster that's right here in the studio. We're going to give you a category. Then you name as many things that pop into your head as possible in 15 seconds before the toast pops.
Oh, here we go. The best time of the week. Candace, who's caller number one?
Victim number one.
Yes. Lay it on me,
Tom
sister.
from Maplewood.
Tom, good morning.
Hello.
You with us, Tommy?
I am.
All right. You a hockey fan?
I certainly am. Never miss a game.
Do you like toast?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Boy. Well, you're
getting
two.
toasted, too.
Yeah, you're 2 for 2 here today. 3 for 3, I guess I should say. All right, well then, you know what we're doing here. We're going to try to beat the toaster. I wish you the best of luck. Tony, take it away.
All right, Big T, your first one. Make up some tax deductions that you wish really existed. Go.
Picking up dog poop. Eating salads. Grilling. Making eggs. Cutting the grass. Jogging. Running around the block.
Wow.
Yeah, not bad. Wait, are those not tax deductions?
Yeah,
I tell you what, picking up dog poop right out of the gate, that was strong. Salad, grilling, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 6. Is that what we came up with?
I got 7 on that. He came with
7.
one right under the wire. I think it was like running around the yard or something.
Well, he said jogging and then running around the block. I thought that was the same thing. I'm not trying to, pick too many nits here.
Running around the block might be running for your life, though.
Okay,
That
all
might
right.
not just be a jog. There's jogging and then there's running.
All right, then that's 7, Tom. Strong.
All right.
Strong out of the gate, brother. Very well played. All right, Tom, sit tight. We're going to go to contestant number 2 and see how they're going to be able to do against you. Candace, who is contestant /caller /victim number 2?
Chris from Red Wing.
Chris, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
All is well on this end. Are you a fan of hockey and or toast?
Oh, you betcha.
I do betcha. Let's do it. Tony, take it away.
Sir, the sweet sound of whales communicating, it sounds like a song. What are some things that whales might actually be saying to other whales? Go ahead.
Where you from? How you doing? You betcha. Get her done. Where you from? Come here often.
Oh, man, that's great, Chris.
How's your mammy?
Oh,
that would have been a good one.
The toast pop, buddy. I'm sorry to say. I think we got 4. Where are you from?
All right. Well, you're in it, man. You're in the game now.
Oh yeah, no. I'll never not see a humpback whale and not think you betcha. You know, right? That's awesome.
Standard greeting, aquatic.
Yeah. Where are you from? Over by Australia. Oh, you must be exhausted.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, Chris. All right, well played, sir. It's time for round 2. So we're going to go back to Tom, right now sitting on a 7-4 lead. But, Tom, round 2 is where we separate the wheat from the chaff. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
All right, my man. Name some things you would do differently if instead of hands, you had paws. Go.
Scratch my stomach. I would climb trees. Play in the mud. Man, that was a hard one.
That was a tough one.
Round 2, man.
Scratch my stomach, climb trees, and play in the mud. It sounds like a great weekend to
Sure.
me.
Doesn't it?
Man, Tom, so that's 3 plus 7. That's a 10 total. 10 spot is usually good for the win around here. I'm not going to guarantee it, but, generally speaking, that does get the job done. So sit tight, Tom. Well played both rounds. Now we're going to go back to Chris for his round 2. Chris, you are going to have to come with 6 to tie, 7 for the outright win. Good luck to you, sir.
Oh, man.
You got it.
Chris, you may be able to pull it off with this one. Listen, you want to lure Taylor Swift's heart away from that dopey Travis Kelce and to the magic that is you. Where do you take her? Go.
To the nudie club, to the bar.
Did he buzz himself?
Don't take her home to my mother.
We give him that last one, can't we?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Don't take her home to mother. It sounded like he gave himself the buzzer. Right there in the middle.
I heard that.
Yeah, that was strong. The nudie club, the bar, don't take her home to my mother. All solid as Sears, Chris. But
charmer.
Looks like you're going to come up with a grand total of 7. That's not enough for the win, but, sir, that does certainly earn you runner-up prize tickets. That's tickets to see at First Avenue Saturday, February 3rd. Brothers Almanac with Stealing Dan. Congratulations. Tom, you, sir, are the winner of the day. You've got tickets to see the Minnesota Wild and the Vancouver Canucks Monday, February 19th. Congratulations, and thank you both, gentlemen.
Thank you. That was awesome.
That was awesome. Wow. Boy, Tony,
like
you were not kidding around with those today.
No, put him on the spot today. His reaction.
You can't think about where you would actually take Taylor Swift. Just start rattling some stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. There is a.
I think she'd be open to just about anything.
Yeah, right. I think so.
Where do you take the girl who's been everywhere?
Dairy Queen, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to think small. You do have to go, small town or a small experience. So she's been everywhere, but she hasn't been to my childhood home or something like that.
Right.
You got to come up with something incredibly personal. Who am I kidding? Taylor Swift, you're not going to get her to raise an eyebrow.
Corn
The
Palace.
largest ball of twine is right here in Minnesota. Isn't that out in Dawson or something like that? Or it starts with a D out
I'd
there.
take her to Tony Jaro's for a good old green.
For a greenie.
That was a shocker.
Okay, flying blind here. Let's
give her a shocker?
Let's cut this back. You're going to take her where?
It's a bar that has a greenie drink.
Oh, my God.
It's a Northeast staple.
Called Tony Jaro's. And I was there recently, and they have all sorts of colors. They don't just have the greenie. They have a red one, they have a pink one, they have a yellow one, just about any color you can do, but the greenie is most famous.
It's really potent punch, basically.
Wow. And Taylor's got that album called Red, so maybe you'd go red for her.
Perfect.
Greenie for you. Well, thanks for inviting me after a year.
Whatever. I ask you to hang out all the time.
Yeah, but you don't say things like there's a place with a drink called a greenie. I mean,
You
if you
should
give me,
know by now that
you
I
got to
don't
give
know
me
all the
local
spots.
info.
I know all the
You got to be
spots.
specific, not just hang out with me.
Well,
It's
no,
not enough of a draw.
It should be about me.
We hang out 5 days a week. If you want to hang out outside the studio, you got to give me some more information.
If you want to be my lover.
I would take Taylor Swift back to my hometown, and then we would, you ever hear about people who go tipping cows? Cows are sleepy and trying to push them over. That was happening in our town growing up. I never did that, but I know people who did. But what I was always a big fan of, there was a Mennonite community in the area. Mennonite is an offshoot of the Amish, and we would just steal their horse and buggies all the time.
Oh,
wait. No, I'm sorry. We never did that because we're not monsters. However, at a Walmart in Michigan last Saturday, an Amish family came into town. They shop at Walmart, and somebody literally hopped in their buggy and went, and took off in their horse and buggy.
Whoa.
A woman hopped in, a truck driver saw it, was able to give a description to the police. The woman had been already hanging around Walmart that day and had some weird interactions with some staff. And they found, they were able to track down, they found the stolen horse and buggy later that night, and then they found her at a nearby motel. I cannot imagine, of all the things to steal, you're in a parking lot and you're like, hey, look at that horse and buggy. I think I'll hop in and take off.
I mean, it wouldn't cross your mind just like, what would that be like? Yeah, they just don't have those theft deterrent systems in those horse and buggies, right? Anyone can...
No, they don't. But you also, it's not like you can just change the license plate and hope no one notices.
Oh, no. I think this weirdo knew that she was getting caught. She just was kind of a Thelma and Louise thing. She was looking for a cliff, maybe. Maybe
so.
The big
wow.
last ride.
It's funny because I read that story and I thought, yeah, we used to say that. Like, man, I wonder if you could, because I worked at a grocery store one summer in the produce department, and the people would come in all the time for stuff, and you'd look out in the parking lot, and you just car, horse and buggy, car, horse and buggy. And it was always like, how's that horse know to just stand there? It's not going to go, and he's just going to wait. And used to think about it. I wonder if we could commandeer that thing. But thinking about it and doing it, boy, that's a wide gulf in my universe anyway.
I'm thinking she had a few screws loose, just like a recent Alaska Airlines. Bolts falling out of these things. We never did play the audio. I found some audio yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
A wheel fell off a Boeing 737. That was a different flight. We'll get into all that stuff here at 8:30. We have also coming up here at 9 o'clock, one of the funniest people. Oh, no, that's a different thing. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Oh, Eddie Gosling. That's right. I love Eddie Gosling. Going to join us here at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. For Friday. I'm always happy on Friday. I'm happy most days. I'm a happy guy, but Friday, come on, man. Eddie Gosling is in the studio in about 30 minutes. He's at Acme tonight and tomorrow night for 2 shows. He's a very funny gentleman. We look forward to talking with him. You, I'm sure, heard about the situation. We talked about it on this show, and every media outlet everywhere talked about the Alaska Airlines flight earlier this month that had basically a port just blew open in the side of the plane. What sometimes is an emergency door on an Alaska Airlines flight was reconfigured to just be a piece of a wall with a window, but you could have had a door there. They opted to just put a plug thing in the place. Anyway, some loose bolts, and next thing you know, a plane is at 15,000 feet and it blows open. Nobody was sucked out, thankfully. One kid sitting near that window did have his shirt torn right from him. Terrifying. I mean, truly terrifying. Saturday Night Live last week did a whole skit on it, like one of their pre-produced films. And I was actually surprised at how hard they went in on Alaska Airlines for this, because truthfully, this is a Boeing problem as much as, if not far more than an Alaska Airlines problem, because then Boeing grounded a bunch of these 737 MAX 9s. Alaska Airlines, they put the whole fleet down and found loose bolts on a great number of their planes. Wow. The CEO of Alaska Airlines was like, I'm way more than frustrated and disappointment. I'm pissed. He was furious. And I don't think his mood improved when they basically figured out that this whole thing is costing Alaska Airlines about $150 million. Wow. I don't have access to their books, but I'm going to guess they just don't have that laying around in spare change.
Probably not Alaska Airlines. There's probably only one airline that does. And, Boeing's going to have to pony up some money. They had to before when they had that whole, and that ended in a couple of tragedies with Boeing's, the Maxes and the navigation issues here a few years ago. And now loose bolts. I mean, it sounds like me with the old rust bucket, Pontiac Le Mans back in the 1980s rattling around. The worst thing that could have happened, I take her down in the ditch. These are planes. It's a little disconcerting. And then they have the Boeing 757 plane. This was down in Colombia, and this happened on January 20th. This isn't Bill, one of the buddies, jerking the chain of another pilot. This is a pilot sitting in another plane, as they do, watching the planes in front of them head on down the runway when he calls this one in.
Delta 982, this is the aircraft looking at you. One of your nose tires just came off. It just rolled off the runway behind you. Delta 982, tower, sounds like we've got a problem.
Yeah, the old nose wheel just came rolling off.
Hey, thanks for paying attention.
Whoops.
It's not like the pilot can sense that. I would imagine there's got to be a sensor. I mean, I think if a tire comes off my car, I'll see something on the dashboard. I would hope the same thing happens to a plane.
Yeah, air pressure gets a little low, and you got a light going off on your dash. But
do you remember the flight? There was a JetBlue flight that landed at LAX a few years ago, and they recognized they couldn't get the front landing gear down. as they were on approach. Yep. And so they circled around a bit. And LAX, they prepared the runway. But news got out that this was happening. And CNN was covering this plane's landing live. And people on the JetBlue plane were watching themselves land. Because, of course, CNN's like, this might be a crash landing. This thing might go sideways. When it landed, it did shoot sparks up because it didn't have any front tires, but it didn't catch on fire. But I've always thought about that. Imagine being on a plane that offers you live TV, and what you're watching live upon arrival is your own arrival with the commentator going, "We certainly hope there's not a problem." But, everybody at every network is like, this is going to be great for ratings. And, I mean, that would just be the most stressful landing ever, watching the plane you're in land on the TV on the plane you're in.
Would you wave out the window?
I'd be trying
to. If you
to.
saw it.
Sure.
Something, yeah. I mean, that takes surreal to a whole new level.
It really does.
On the one where the Alaska Airlines plane where that door plug blew off, someone posted a photo and went viral days after this happened. And, of course, everyone, they show a photo looking up the plane, and everyone's, kind of freaking out. Most people are on their phones texting probably goodbyes, or you're not going to frickin' believe what just happened. They show a guy, and you zoom in on him, and he's sitting there on his laptop. And you look at his laptop, and he's got a bunch of graphs up there. And he's just hard typing away. And I'm like, is he working? Is he? Well, I guess I better get this done before I die. I mean, that's an employee, right? I don't know what else he could have been doing. It was just a bunch of bar graphs. Maybe he was running the odds here. What are the chances this thing's going to nosedive since a door plug fell off? I'll look up some stats here. But, yeah, that would be weird watching yourself.
Sounds to me like a guy who's been slacking at work, and he thought, maybe this picture will get out. My boss will see it, and he'll think I'm actually a champion.
You got a raise.
That'd be me. Instead of actually just doing good, hard work every day, I'm a test crammer. What can I tell you? I was always the guy at the last minute. I'd be like, hang on, this is a heroic opportunity. This could totally work out in my favor. Speaking of California and transportation, I remember being a kid, and when back in the day, the federal speed limit, we all remember this, Candace, you won't, was 55 miles per hour.
Oh,
that was a federal law in the 70s. I've said this for years now because I look back on that and it blows my mind. Next time you're on a trip that's over, that not going just across town, but let's say you're going to go 200 miles, set your cruise control at 55 and tell me how long you go before you have an absolute panic attack driving only 55 miles per hour. I couldn't last 5 minutes on an open freeway at 55, but this was the law for a long time.
Yeah, 55 means 55.
I can't drive 55. I grew up in South Dakota, where you might not see another car for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And that's just driving around your hometown. So going 55 out there, thankfully we didn't have a lot of nutty enforcement out there. You also wouldn't see a squad car out there very often either. But yeah, that was there were people ready to revolt out there in South Dakota over the 55 speed limit. I remember
at some point. We were on a family trip. My mom got popped for a ticket. She was an absolute leadfoot, especially in those days when 55 was the limit. And I remember saying, well, why don't they just make so that cars can't go over 55? Like, to my 10-year-old brain, I was like, why? Right? Why wouldn't? And my dad then goes into the, son, you see, in order to get the acceleration and the power, you need blah, blah. And he had he basically explaining how engines work. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, just tell me it doesn't make sense. But I mean, I got the whole rundown, everything short of a written exam to make sure I've been paying attention. And I've often laughed at myself because I was like, well, why wouldn't you just make it so the cars can't go over 55? What could be the problem? Well, there's a lawmaker in California, a guy named Scott Wiener, or is it Weiner? I'm not sure.
Oh, no, it's Wiener.
It's Wiener. He has announced legislation as part of a larger package of street safety proposals, and he has a law right here that would require new passenger vehicles and any large truck sold in California to be equipped with technology that would prevent them from going more than 10 miles an hour above the speed limit.
Wow.
How many reasons are we up to not to live in California? Here's Mr. Wiener himself.
It will require cars and trucks that are manufactured or sold in California to contain what we call speed governors or speed limiters that physically prevent the vehicle from traveling more than 10 miles an hour above the speed limit. It'll still be illegal to go above the speed limit, of course, but it will be physically impossible to make the car go more than 10 miles an hour over
Shut
the
up,
speed
I know, he
Wiener.
just likes to hear himself talk.
If you
God, this is what
think,
happens when you get picked on too
listen,
much.
if you think the mafia and the Cubans were pissed off at Kennedy, wait till this guy gets this law passed. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, Wiener's no longer going to be a fun, positive word.
And
become derogatory.
Is this 10 miles an hour over any speed limit? Like it knows where you are and it knows what the speed limit is? Or is this just they look at the highest one and that's it? So many questions and all just one answer, which is you got to be kidding me. Stop it. You can't possibly think this is going to work. I lived in California for a couple of years. We've all been to California.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what nobody's interested in doing. Slowing down.
First of all, if you can get up to 55 in some areas of California, good on you, mate, for being able to do it. But when you get some open road, you're going to take it. But yeah, and it's just the idea of like, all right, a lawmaker named Wiener going, no one's going more than 10 miles. Shut up, dude.
Yeah, he does. He is from San Francisco, a town where if you literally hit 27 miles an hour, you're taking your life in your own hands.
Yeah.
It's just not part of it. That's wild to me. You know, here's another one before I forget. The actress Jessica Biel, we all know who she is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She is on TikTok, and she posted something on TikTok where she explained that as one of the many ways that she loves to multitask. Very busy woman. She's got projects. She's got things. She's got a very busy schedule. She eats meals while showering.
I'm going to need to see video proof of that.
She says she enjoys eating, quote, shower-appropriate items while in the shower. Cereal, yogurt, popsicles, coffee, and tea. Perfectly suitable.
Kramer.
Hey, listen.
I think maybe some of you know this about me, but I love to eat in the shower. I love to eat and drink in the shower. Shower-appropriate items like cereal or yogurt, coffee, tea, popsicles. What? I know, melt factor, but safe, you know? Down the drain, anything drops, you're good.
Easy cleanup.
So no hot dish.
I guess not.
Mistake.
You guys ever eaten anything in the shower? Anyone ever have a beer in the shower, Candace?
Oh, yeah.
Cocktail,
I've absolutely done that. I probably popped like a chocolate in my mouth, and then gotten in there.
Sure.
I've definitely had a beer. You know, you come in, you've been doing like, let's say, yard work or something like that, and then you're going to take a quick shower because then you're going to go out and meet friends. And I got to have a beer, and you're sipping that first beer of the day after your yard work, and then I got to get in the shower. You've already opened a beer. Yeah, you take it in there, have a few sips, but planning ahead and seeing it as a conscious way to multitask. That's given a little bit too much thought. One of my longest buddies, the first guy that I actually started to try to, the guy that called me and said, do you want to start a band, that led me to drop out of college, Clint Steele. What a great name. Yes. Clint Steele. And not only did he have a great name, but we started a band, and his proposed band name, which we all voted down, I've regretted it forever because I still think it's one of the great names never used. Angst Ferrari.
Nice.
Angst Ferrari. I'll never forget it. But one of the first days we were all living in this great old rundown flop house in Atlanta, and I opened the bathroom door because there was a phone call for him. His mom called. He was in the shower, and I opened the door. I go, Clint, your mom's on the phone. And all at one moment, I took in the fact, as he opened the shower curtain to look out to say, what'd you say? I noticed smoke because the cigarette was in his mouth as he was in the shower. And in fact, not only that, he didn't just have it on the side of the tub. He had affixed an ashtray to the shower wall. Like, he had I will be smoking in this shower, so I've already got the ashtray in here. Don't worry about it. I was like, now that's the kind of commitment I can get behind. That's rock and roll, baby.
That's an American hero right there.
That was pretty great. But just seeing him, his hair completely soaked and all slicked back, and then just the shower curtain opens, he leans his head out like, sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you. And the cigarette dangling, and every bit of his body's soaking wet, and that cigarette's just torched up. I was like, man, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Commitment right there.
That was really, really great. Hey, real quick, the Tee It Up golf cart number 2, it goes on sale at 9 a.m. today. That's in about 18 minutes from right now. The Tee It Up golf cart number 2 is on sale. 6 area golf courses. You can save $175. Get yours at 92kqrs.com. Search the keyword golf.
You can make that purchase while we welcome comedian extraordinaire Eddie Gosling headlining Acme this weekend and joining us at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
January the 26th. It's a Friday night. Moments from right now, we're going to be chatting with Eddie Gosling, who's at Acme tonight and tomorrow night. In the meantime, before we start that conversation, I'd like to remind you that the Fontainebleau Las Vegas is the newest luxury resort and casino on the Las Vegas Strip. And we want to send you there for the big game weekend. One winner will score a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. That includes airfare, a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, $150 credit to spend at one of its 36 restaurants and bars. That's a lot of restaurants and bars. And 2 tickets to the Fontainebleau, Las Vegas big game viewing party at the Blue Live Theater. Text the national keyword weekend to 95819 right now to enter. In the back of my mind, I was hearing Graham Parsons, Las Vegas. Ain't no place for a poor boy like me. But, I'll take any of it. Whatever you got. Eddie Gosling is in studio with us. He's at Acme tonight and tomorrow night. Eddie, good morning, sir. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good. How are you guys doing today?
Everything's as far as we know is fine. We're approaching the end of January, Eddie, and January is National Divorce Month. Everything okay with you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, we're celebrating the divorce for the month. The month?
Well, it's the highest number. Divorce attorneys get more phone calls by far in January than any other month.
These horrible Christmas gifts, and you're going into trying to get out of Valentine's Day.
That's exactly yeah. Post holiday, you're convinced that I can't deal with the in-laws ever again or whatever, and Valentine's Day is around the corner, and you look at the budget and you go, yeah, I'm out.
Wow. I did not know that this is when I was here. I thought I was just here for the St. Paul Winter Festival or Carnival or whatever.
No, there's always something else happening. There's never just one event that you got to be concerned with. I think a lot of divorces happen in January because my theory is you've gotten through another football season and you are either you're the buffoon or you're with the buffoon who gets drunk and makes an ass of themselves every Sunday for 16 or 17 weeks in a row. And that's usually what breaks the camel's back. Are you a football fan?
Yeah, I love football. I'm an Eagles fan, so we had a tough end of the season. Really did not finish out well.
No, what? But yeah, really. I mean, the Super Bowl hangover for the losing team the next year is a common theme, but it's usually early in the season. It's not. You don't start 10-1 and then have a wheel fall off. Generally,
I think what happened with them though, if you look at those scores, that 10-1 record, they won a lot of close games.
Yeah,
and then they weren't able to get it done at the end of the year, and then they got smoked a couple times. So it was like,
right,
whatever. Sometimes I'm glad the season's over. I was just like, just put them out of their misery.
Yeah.
You're in Minnesota. A lot of that. Everybody gets it.
Yeah. You guys had like 12 quarterbacks at one point.
That's
a
true.
Rotation. You had the astronaut Dobbs was on your team.
That's exactly right.
And he learned the playbook, and it was like over. They're like, God, no.
He had an Icarus-like run. You know what I mean? He was just he was soaring.
Right.
Yeah, and then as soon as they asked him to actually do something by plan, like by design, it was all she wrote.
These designs aren't good.
What did you play football growing up?
I played football in high school. Yeah, my dad was in the military, so we traveled a lot, which was good because I needed that. I wasn't doing very good in school. We lived in Nebraska, and I was not going to make it out of high school in 4 years. But my dad got transferred to Louisiana, and I was like tutoring kids. It was unbelievable. I went from idiot to elder in 4 days. It was like I couldn't imagine. I was like, what? I jumped up on a hickory stump. I was like, boy, let me tell you what.
That's it. You know, it's funny. My family moved from Maryland to Kentucky, and the same thing. Like the first time report cards came out, my parents saw straight A's, and they were like, "Where did we move these idiots to?"
And they're like, "Who are you cheating off of?"
Yeah, exactly.
Who do you sit next to?
So if you were playing football in Nebraska, boy, back in the day, that was the Huskers were serious, man.
Nebraska was great, and then I have friends that live up here, and they started playing Wisconsin and just getting smoked by Wisconsin every once in a while.
Right.
And now they're so bad now. It's like, and that's another team that loses every game by like 3 points. It's ridiculous.
Yep. So what'd you play? What position?
Offensive and defensive tackle.
My
senior year, I had to go both ways, so I was like really bad on both sides of the ball because I was exhausted.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Storied career.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Eddie Gosling's with us. You're at Acme. You still have 2 shows tonight. You still have 2 shows tomorrow night, 7 and 9:30, both nights. Twin Cities, great comedy vibes up here. I'm sure you've been here a few times before.
Yeah, I've been coming here since I've been doing comedy like around 30 years now, and I haven't been here in like 10 to 12 years because I was writing on a show in L.A. for a while and just didn't get out anymore.
A show.
Tosh Point.
Yeah, man.
As good as it gets.
That. Tosh has been in here to the studio a couple of different times. Very intense dude. Of course, I love his sense of humor, but he would come in and sit down, and then we go to commercial break, and, you just sort of josh around a little bit. No, he had a pad a legal pad and a pen, and he would just start writing one-liners. We'd come out of the break, and he would just start going down the pad of one-liner. What's it like to write and produce with that dude?
I mean, it's great because he's like the ultimate safety catch for my bad jokes that I write because he can like make anything funnier. And so right now we're working on he has a podcast we just started, Tosh Show. And, I write my jokes, I write my lines, and then he just looks through them, and he can just make them, he tweaks them, makes them a little bit funnier, makes them more like his voice. And, it's kind of nice,
Yeah, that is nice. Good guy to be partnering around with. You're on the bounce now, back in the clubs. Are you a good traveler? You got any flight issues? You cool on a plane?
I think as long as my new thing is as long as part of the plane, the wall doesn't rip off after takeoff, I feel like it's a good flight these days.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing how often on this show we have, this weird thing happened on a plane. We could have, there's one a day if we chose to do it. And if it's not a porthole appearing suddenly, it's somebody having a psychic breakdown.
Yeah, I think my whole thing with flying is like the plane should land with all the parts it took off with.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Now, we had a debate here one morning because would you rather have the door plug rip off your plane or have someone crap diarrhea all the way down the aisle, both of which have happened here in the calendar year?
100% let the door rip off.
Yeah.
Like diarrhea up and down the alley is like, I hate using the bathroom in public. There's nothing worse in life than having used. It's the worst because it means you planned your day wrong, right? You wanted 5 extra minutes of sleep and now you're crapping at Home Depot, which is like the worst. You'd think they'd have nicer bathrooms at Home Depot, right? They have everything in that store to make a nice bathroom.
Yep.
Right?
But it's like a set of a Saw movie back there. It's not even like, it's like the worst place you would ever. People don't poop in the toilet at Home Depot. They poop at it. They just seriously go in there and then don't be curious. Just take my word for it. Don't go to Home Depot and use the restroom.
Man, the things you learn on a Friday morning around here. But
bragging about that toilet that can flush 50 golf balls at once. I'm like, who is dumping 50 golf balls at once? This is like, how's that a brag? How does that make me think this toilet's going to be great? And also, how about you guys out there that are plumbers? Maybe all those toilets should be the same height. I'm sorry. Have you been on a lower toiit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what is that? It's like,
well, they work for me. I got short little legs, so.
But you should be one toilet size. You don't surprise somebody because you see the toilet, you go to sit down, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, where's the toilet?
So I got a dangle. Everyone else gets to have their feet flat on the ground. That's not
we could
fair.
have like a step for you or something. Like the thing they do for dogs to get in the bed, like a little bit of a. Yeah, you could have your toilet shoes on.
Listen, toilet boots is a $1 million idea just waiting to have. Bathroom boots,
like
just call them.
Platform shoes.
Yeah.
I put on my toilet shoes like the stompers kids used to walk around in.
Lavatory lifts. We can, as long as there's alliteration in here, we're gonna move some units. There's no question about it.
Squat stomps.
Yeah, sure. Well, I want to go back in time. You've been doing comedy 30 years. Everybody at some point, you were probably a guy that people were like, hey, that Eddie guy, he's funny. But then getting up on stage and doing it and deciding maybe I'm going to try this, that's a pretty big step that first time. First time ever in front of strangers with a microphone. Did you get any laughs at all?
Man, I think I did, but I can't even remember. You're so like just hot and numb to the entire experience that you're just like, just doing everything you kind of planned and then forgetting most of it anyways. And then you come off and your friends are like, that's pretty good. But if it was really good, they would be like, that was amazing. Nobody was like that. So
okay.
I don't think I got a lot of
Well,
laughs.
everybody, every comedian, every musician, when you your first gigs, whether you mean to or not, you're generally ripping somebody off more than all of your other influences. Who was the one for you? If you looked back, who would you probably say you were borrowing more from their playbook than anybody else?
I would say if anybody, I was heavily influenced by Dave Attell. So I would write my jokes in his kind of a style.
Got it.
So it was just like, it was an easy way for me to watch him and be like, that's how you write a joke. That's how you deliver a joke. And it's like, well, that's how he does it. And then at some point you're like, you have to kind of do it yourself, figure out your own voice. And I haven't figured that out yet. So I'm going to keep searching for my voice.
It's like, you hear about a medical practice or a legal practice. This is a comedy practice. That's what you're involved in. You're just practicing.
It makes it sound more like a profession.
Sure.
And that's so embarrassing for my children when they're like, what are you doing down here making Christmas songs? Okay, this is what I do. I promote my shows like this.
How many kids? What ages?
I got 2 kids. They're both in high school, a junior and a freshman.
And are they funny? Do they do things both unintentionally and intentionally that make you laugh?
They really are. They're like, my wife's a comic too, Megan
Right.
Mooney, and she used to be
sure.
here forever. And so we got like, our kids are being raised by a couple comics, and honestly, it's like sitting down to dinner is like a roast sometimes. It's like
sure.
It really is, and they're sharp. They're like, they got good jokes. Oliver's more like my son. He's like kind of lays back. You don't see it coming. My daughter, she's just like viciously on you right away, to the point where we have to be like, hey, like everything you say, and these are all funny things, but you say, you got to know who you're talking to too sometimes.
Yeah.
We don't need to have these discussions with teachers and stuff, but they haven't really gotten in a lot of trouble yet. So I think we're 2 comics raising kids. I think we're doing good.
That's boy. I mean, if that's not a sitcom waiting to happen.
Oh my God, she's my daughter joined the wrestling team in high school. They have a ladies squad in L.A. and. Her knee popped out 2 weeks ago, which was like horrifying because my son was playing football. He's already had 3 knee surgeries.
Oh man!
So we're just like, maybe we just don't do anything. Maybe how about now? Me and your mom are too dumb to teach you chess, but the chess club seems like something you guys might be into. It's like so ridiculous. These knees are popping out. I'm like, and I've had 2 knee surgeries also, so I'm like, I think it's me. I think it's my bloodline.
Genetic knees, man.
Did you ever wrestle?
Yeah, I did. I wrestled. So I was excited that she was going to wrestle. I was like trying to get Oliver, like, man, you should go out for the team. He's like, there's no way I'm going to wrestle. Do you see those guys coming out and just soaking sweat?
Yeah.
I go, absolutely. That's because they lock the doors, turn the heat up, and you work out for 3 hours and cut. And then my daughter, she's like, we went to like get to know the high school athletics program, and they had like, this is what they're so smart. Everybody had like a little booth out there on the football field talking about their sport. The wrestling team put a mat out. And they just invited children to come and wrestle people on the team. And it was like 6 rows deep of people. Kids were going crazy, making TikTok videos, and the kids were getting slammed. And I'm like, there's no way they're insured for this. But like so many kids wanted to wrestle after that.
Man, that's fantastic. I've always thought wrestlers. I played soccer and basketball, very much team sport guy.
Right.
And I always saw the wrestlers as the absolute most psychotic group of athletes I've ever been around.
It's a weird sport. It's an individual sport with a team concept where you're all like trying to get points for the team, but you're also trying to wrestle for yourself. But and then when sometimes we would condition with the basketball team, and it was a breeze. I'm like, this is amazing. We're just kind of like a late jog around here.
Yeah.
That's great.
Did you ever get pumped up watching Vision Quest in that age group? Yeah.
Totally right away. I showed my daughter Vision Quest when she was going to. I go, if you're going to go out for wrestling, let me show you Vision Quest. And she loved it. She's like, this is the greatest movie ever. And then I showed her Foxcatcher, and she goes, this is sad. I'm like, I didn't think. It's like the other wrestling movie that's not. It wasn't really funny.
What did your kids think of The Wild? Now, I'm trying to guess their ages here. The Wild came out 2005. I'm looking at your bio. You did the Vulture Scraw in the Disney animated movie The Wild. Was Was that a cool experience for them to see it as kids?
It was a cool experience, but it was also like The Wild was like the one Disney movie that did not do well at all.
I did have to Google it.
It went up against Madagascar, came out the same week or something, and they're kind of similar stories, and we just tanked. So, every once in a while I get like $4.68 from Disney in the mail that goes to my old apartment that I haven't lived in for 14 years.
Oh man, I made a record. Don Was produced my band once, and I said, "What was it like working with Dylan?" And he goes, "Well, you got to remember, I produced Dylan's worst album ever."
But he goes,
so it's cool, but then it's really not cool at the same time. I was like, oh yeah,
that's rough. Yeah,
that's a tough one. Yeah, the one Disney movie that doesn't hit. It's like, are you kidding me? Come on.
I mean, they had people in it. It's like there's Kiefer Sutherland's in it. William Shatner.
Sure.
Like there was people in it. It's just like I don't know, man.
Maybe. Oh no, that's so far out of your hands. I mean, that's just a million things that have nothing to do with anything other than the luck of the draw right there. Yeah. That's nuts.
It was fun though, going and doing that whole process of
I bet
just going into a studio and like talking like a vulture, whatever. And then I was doing with the other vulture was Jonathan Kimmel, who's Jimmy Kimmel's brother. Yeah. So we met him, and he's a great guy. Whatever, it was good.
That's pretty great. Eddie Gosling's at Acme tonight and tomorrow, 7 and 8:30, both nights. A fine night out at Acme Comedy Club. So growing up as a kid, what was your music? High school favorite bands? What was going on?
All right, so my first two albums I ever bought was AC/DC Back in Black.
Yes.
And Commodore's Midnight Magic.
Oh, wow. That's
wide net.
You're covering all the bases.
Yeah, those are my two albums. But man, for rock, AC/DC was my favorite band. Seen them several times. Lost a lot of hearing. You can't hear for 3 days after an AC/DC show. It's like people are talking to you. Like you have to wait. Three days I'll be able to talk to you.
Yeah.
Now it's like I sat on a toilet, like a tiny toilet. I can't do anything for 4 days. I have physical therapy tomorrow. I'm going to check out his knees. Something tore. I know something tore. Honestly, like I'm 53 and like people my age, I hate when they're like, I feel better in my 50s than I did in my 20s. I'm like, were you a burn victim in your 20s? Because there's no way what you said is true. Like, honestly, I think you forget how good you felt in your 20s.
Yeah,
because
right.
In your 20s, you could go out last night, right? 10:30, have chili cheese fries and be like, that's cool. Halfway through a meal now, I'm like, was there dairy in this? Was there dairy in this? Because there's dairy in this. I am 10 minutes from diarrhea. And 20 minutes from my house. So we got to figure this out.
Yeah, right. Again, it comes back to planning. You got to plan your day.
You have to plan. Yes, but you travel. I'm at the airport using the restroom, which might be the grossest, maybe grosser than Home Depot. So many people through there. Tell you.
At least, just a quick tip: if you're traveling down south, Buc-ee's is going to set you free on the road.
Dude, my mom loves Buc-ee's. I haven't been to a Buc-ee's yet, but she's like, the bathrooms are clean. You can get a brisket taco. I'm like, you're eating out of a gas station.
I'm telling you.
Just like you're making, like when I would get something from 7-Eleven, you would say how unhealthy it is. You're eating out of a gas station, and then I see this place, pictures. My mom sends me pictures of a gas station. And it looks amazing.
It's an obsession. I'm telling you. Anybody listening, just file it away. The day will come, you will be in the South, and you will see a sign with a beaver, and it says Buc-ee's. Go there. Trust me when I say that.
The T-shirt looks kind of amazing. I get
the swag is the whole thing. It's incredible. Right. Yeah. No, it's the best. Eddie, it is a pleasure to have you in studio. It's great to chat with you, man. Have a great weekend over at Acme, which is an easy thing to say because most of them are pretty great over there.
It's one of the best clubs in the country. And one more thing, Black Crowes, big fan growing up. So
right on.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Thank you very much for that.
All right, yeah, no problem, man.
How about this? How about we take a quick look back?
Today, on this day,
nothing happened.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. So what happened?
What is it, Steve?
I'll tell you what happened today. January 26th, 1986. Super Bowl 20. The Chicago Bears defeated the Patriots 46-10, and the game did not feel that close. New England produced positive yardage on just one of their first 16 plays. They didn't get a first down until deep into the second quarter. Tony Eason, their starter, was 0 for 6 before they benched him in a Super Bowl. The Patriots just got unraveled. The Bears that year had one loss on the season. Their playoff combined score, they beat their opponents in the playoffs 91-10. And if you just heard, the final score of the Super Bowl was 46-10. So they shut out their first two opponents on the way to the Super Bowl. Pretty incredible. The big lowlight of the game, though, was when William Refrigerator Perry scored a touchdown. The 300-pound defensive lineman was called in, and he ran the ball in for a touchdown. And what that meant was Walter Payton was not called to score from close yardage. The Bears finally got over, and Sweetness did not score a touchdown in his only Super Bowl appearance. That was a real drag.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.